Hi everyone, welcome to my Christmas special video. In this one, I'm gonna show you how you can make eclairs look very Christmassy. And we're gonna need a couple of things in the decoration side and in the filling. So let's start with the eclair shells. I have some choux pastry here. I'm actually making half of the total amount that I quote in my choux pastry tutorial. And I will add the link in the description box of this video, and please check that out before you start making choux pastry, because I have lots of tips and tricks there that will help you achieve the perfect choux pastry. Now I have some leftover dough, just a tiny bit, and we're gonna use that for decorations. So for my eclair shells, I'm using a star tip, dusting them with a little bit of icing sugar just to have a nice crust. And this is my leftover choux pastry, and I have a round nozzle attached to my piping bag, and I'm making tiny little dollops of choux pastry. They're gonna turn into beautiful profiteroles, very, very small. This is about 2 to 2.5 centimeters in diameter. And because I don't want to waste the leftover pastry, I'm just piping it all out. And you can see there's nothing left. So this is a great way to deal with leftover dough. Now, if you have tips of dough just standing, make sure to tap them down with a little bit of water on your finger. Otherwise, they will burn super quickly and they will not brown evenly in the oven. So I suggest that you bake your eclair shells first and then the profiteroles. And now we can move on to the filling. This is one of my components for the filling. I have some frozen raspberries here with some sugar, a little bit of a lemon zest, and a little bit of a vanilla bean. And we're gonna make a nice raspberry sauce or raspberry coulis. And I love using this sauce for anything because it tastes so delicious. It has a really intense raspberry flavor and a slight tartness to it. Now for these eclairs, I'm gonna have two fillings. The main one is gonna be my diplomat cream, and I'm using this raspberry coulis to give it a different layer of flavor, and also it has this Christmassy color which brightens up the whole thing. Now here I have a little bit of cornstarch which I dissolve in a little bit of cold water, and this will go right into the raspberries, which are at this point coming to a simmer. You're gonna add the cornstarch liquid and simmer for about 2 to 3 more minutes. Now the cornstarch addition here is to help thicken up this sauce a little bit so that it's not too runny of a filling. Now this step is rather optional. I kind of hate raspberry seeds. They get stuck in my teeth a lot, so I choose to pass this through a sieve all the time because I don't want the seeds. But if you don't mind them, then feel free to just use the whole thing. And once you're done with the coulis, you can just set this aside and chill for 1 hour in the refrigerator. And while that's happening, we can move on and prepare the rest of our components. So I have a few decoration bits in mind, and I'm gonna start by tempering some white chocolate. I'm gonna make a white chocolate garnish. And I'm choosing white chocolate because it's more Christmassy. But in principle, you could do this for any type of chocolate. I actually have a tempering chocolate tutorial where I'm showing you how to do this for dark chocolate, but I also give you the measurements as for the temperatures that you would need to use for tempering dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or white chocolate. Now, is this absolutely necessary to temper the chocolate? The answer is no, but it does have a nice snap when you bite into it. So I do prefer to use tempered chocolate for this. But if you have no time or you just don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine as well. So here I have a piece of acetate. It's a clear acetate. And I'm gonna pour my chocolate all over it. And then I'm gonna take my offset spatula and just spread that sort of thin. And I'm spreading it carefully and try to be as even as possible. And before the chocolate sets, I'm grabbing some desiccated coconut and sprinkling as much as I can on top of that white chocolate. And I have found a very nice and fine desiccated coconut. It's really white, so I'm trying to simulate a bit of snow here. Now, try to remove the excess by just lifting both sides of the acetate, just carefully. Just try to be more careful than I am here. I've made quite a bit of a mess here, so let me just clean up my board a little bit. This is a marble board that I'm using. I like to use this when I'm handling chocolate. And my chocolate still hasn't set, so at this point I'm grabbing my Eclair cutter. It has an Eclair shape, and I'm just pressing it gently on the chocolate. Now, if you wanted to make a profiterole, for example, you would use a round cookie cutter, for example, for this part. Because I understand that not everybody will have this Eclair cutter. So I'm finishing up my last piece here, and that's it. I'm gonna just transfer this in a place where it can set in a cool place until it firms up. You can even put this in the fridge while you prepare the rest of the components. So moving on to the next component, I'm gonna make a wet caramel, which I will try to color red. So for that, I'm gonna use some red coloring, red food coloring. I actually didn't have any gel, so I'm using powder, but I recommend that you use gel for this because it's easier to incorporate in the caramel. And these are our tiny choux pastry balls. They're super cute, they're tiny, so they make perfect decorations. Now, here's my caramel. I'm just cooking it until it reaches this light amber color. And at this point, I take it off the heat and add the food coloring and just give it a nice stir. You should try to work quickly at this point, otherwise the caramel will start to thicken up a little too much. Now, what we want to do here is take those choux pastry balls, and you can take a toothpick or some tweezers like I have here, and just dip the round part into the caramel, shake off the excess, and let it set somewhere. Now, some people like to use this semi-sphere silicone mats to let these things set because it will give you a perfectly round shape. So that's a nice little trick for you there. Now, if you don't have these mats, don't worry, you can just do as I'm showing right now. So let's put these aside and let them set while we just start putting all of these components together. So first things first, I'm gonna work on my Eclair shells, and I'm gonna fill them a little bit differently for this video. I'm removing a little bit of the top of the Eclair shell and any bits that are just sticking out. I'm doing this to create a flat surface on which I will place my chocolate garnish. Now here I have my diplomat cream. Again, the recipe and the video is in the description box below. And here we have that beautiful coulis, which is gonna give it a nice, delicious raspberry flavor. And I'm topping it all off with more diplomat cream. You can't have too much diplomat cream, if you ask me. Now, for the decorations, I have the white chocolate garnish here, and you can gently snap away the bits that are outside the eclair shape. And this is what you will end up having. So we're going to place this on top of that diplomat cream and gently push it down. You don't want to press too much, you just want it to be stable. I'm using my diplomat cream as glue here to add that beautiful choux pastry ball that we just finished decorating with caramel. And look at that gorgeous caramel. It's super shiny. It's very appealing to the eye. And at this point, you can just have fun with it. Yeah, you can stay clean and classic, or you can just go a bit crazy and add as many Christmas decorations as you want. I have some Christmas sprinkles, so I decided to use a couple of those. And at this point, you could even turn this into a Christmas activity where you provide all the garnishes and people just decorate their own eclair. And the best thing is that all of these components can be stored for later use, so you can prepare everything ahead of time and just build them on Christmas Day if you wanted to. All the components are delicious on their own. You could just eat the chocolate garnish by itself and that would be enough for most people. But why not make it extra special for Christmas time? And let's put some more sprinkles on this one. I hope you like this idea. I hope you try it. If you do, let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching. I hope you like and subscribe to my channel, and happy holidays to everybody.